we can go ahead and take it away, Hunter.
Excellent. Well, welcome everybody to another session of Salt's Unsalted AMA. We will continue our theme in terms of talking about the Celsius refinancing with late breaking news as of this morning. So we'll cover off that and focus on any questions that people have. But we're excited to be, I think, seeing the finish line. And as I'm sure everybody else is here, I will go over the key deadlines and announcements that have come out. Shawn, are there any other topics that you want to make sure we cover off with the group today?
Nothing particular. I'm sure there'll be plenty in the Q&A, but lots to talk about as it is. So we'll just take it from there.
Okay. We've got the full team. I'm joined with Shawn, Dan, Justin, and Kelley. We'll field all the questions that we can. And really, as Shawn said, really want to lean into the questions that everybody here has regarding the latest Stretto announcements and the process for the Celsius refi. And then we'll make sure we are able to provide as much information that we can. Let me summarize our understanding of the next steps, and then we can pick up from there. Based on the communications we've had with Celsius this week and the Stretto announcement that came out this morning, there are a couple key deadlines and milestones as it relates to refinancing. The first one is a deadline on February 23rd will be for anyone that is a Celsius creditor to complete the data sharing agreement that's been emailed to them via Stretto. This agreement will allow you to specify who your refinance provider of choice is and provide that information with Stretto. The second step will then be the deadline is as of March 15th. And this will be to sign an irrevocable, I think they're calling it an irrevocable direction agreement. The purpose of this agreement is to authorize Celsius to pay out both the principal and the excess collateral to your lender of choice. Salt will be providing this agreement for you to sign and execute. Once that is executed, you, as the borrower, will need to provide a copy via Stretto, and then we will be providing a copy to Celsius, and we will be reconciling both the individuals that have signed those agreements as well as the associated accounts and loans that will need to be paid off. The additional step that will need to be done in parallel is if you have any outstanding agreements with SALT in terms of the loan agreements, those will need to be completed in parallel so that all by March 15th, then all agreements are signed and updated. And then once all that information, we have all that information, we will meet with Celsius and share that information and start to coordinate the refinancing and having the loans paid off. And that will really happen as fast as Celsius is ready. So we are starting to meet with them more frequently. And if it can be done faster, it will. But we are expecting that will happen around or after the 3/15 deadline. Let me pause there. Shawn, Dan, or Justin, any additional details to add just based on the conversations that you have been having?
Yeah, I would just say if you didn't receive the Stretto email regarding data sharing, to reach out to Stretto and Kirkman Ellis today to get that organized. That's potentially just a gap in the process, but make sure you reach out to them directly. We don't have a direct line to be able to help you with that.
Nothing to add for me, Hunter. I think you nailed it on the overview.
Okay.
From there.
Happy to answer anybody's questions in the group that you have about the process. And if not, if there aren't any questions about the Celsius refinance, we're happy to move on to other questions and topics. But I would imagine there is still questions out there and uncertainty in certain areas. One thing I will bring up while we're waiting for any questions is if Salt has prepared, we have prepared a calculator, and that is being updated with any of the information, both in terms of trying to provide everybody as accurate a estimate of the total collateral that will be transferred based on the refinancing. So you can reach out to or send an email to sales@saltlending.com, and they will send you back a link to be able to get access to that calculator, which will help with both the collateral amount, the LTV amount, as well as within the calculator, it shows the different interest payment options if you were in the process of deciding on those in your loan application process. All right. It looks like we have AK. Do you have a question? Love to have you ask it.
Yeah, thank you. My question is just regarding that timeline. I think I heard you say that once we get all the agreements signed and share with them, that it won't be starting until March 15th. They're not going to do it on like a rolling basis as they come in. If we were to get all the docs done like the first week of March, they're probably not gonna start that. Is that right? I just want to, because maybe we've been gamed so much, and maybe it's going back the other direction. If I was foolish enough to try and game them the other way and wait just to hope, that probably won't matter. I should probably just get it all in.
Yeah, AK, that's a great question. We have asked that and don't have a response back. If they come back and do indicate we are able to refinance on a rolling basis, then we'll come back and let everybody know.
All right, thanks.
Thank you for your question. Paul, I think you're next. We'd love to have you ask your question.
Sure, thanks. Given the run-up we're seeing in the markets last few weeks, really since the EFTs, the process is still going to be the day of the actual payoff. You're using the Bitcoin and ETH price for the payment, correct? So you'll be receiving that back. I guess I'm just thinking we're just really tied into market volatility until this happens, which could be another 3 weeks or a month or whatever the case is, because the prices were already set on the distributions, but now we're just in limbo with the payoff amounts. You know, the way things are keep going, we could be versus somewhat close to what the original amounts that were set.
Yeah, Paul. No, we do agree with you. And there's still, for the creditors that had loans outstanding, partial amounts of your collateral, still the final price will be determined based off the loan payout date. And so there is volatility in terms of that final amount. So I think the point that AK had brought up earlier is a good one. As soon as we can get clarity on it, if there is an ability to move more quickly, once all the agreements are signed, then we will look to help facilitate that. I think that is motivation just in terms of the data sharing agreement, the loan agreements, as well as then the irrevocable agreement. What we're doing is encouraging everybody to get those completed as soon as possible, so that if there is an opportunity to move more quickly, then we can all help facilitate that and do that on your behalf.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Dan, just related to that, are there any points associated with the calculator or the process that are worth highlighting at this point?
I would say if you have signed your loan agreement, that's great. If you haven't, make sure you reach out to loan support or sales@saltlending.com to figure out what your next steps are. If you sign the data sharing agreement, that's great. You don't need to, but you can certainly send us a screenshot that you've done it. Not necessary. We'll definitely mark it down that you've done it. And then lastly, if you haven't definitely read in the Stretto announcement that if your loan was backed by BTC or ETH, the first time around with Celsius, that's what they're going to send on your behalf. If it was backed by something else, they're going to send ETH. So make sure you log into your Salt account and create a BTC or ETH wallet based on those terms. We will be tracking that and reaching out to make sure that's complete. So that way we have a place to deposit your coins. And then once the irrevocable decision agreement is out, once you sign it, you'll also have to share it with Stretto, and the email is provided in that announcement today where to share it. So just make sure you do those. Those are the next 4 things you got to do.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Dan. Shawn, is there, I know you've been talking with a bunch of both creditors and others in the sort of community about the process and the steps and any of the questions. Anything that you want to highlight just in terms of the overall discussion, especially as we are looking forward to helping everybody resolve this at the latest by middle to the end of March?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I can't wait to move past this. Thank you all who have been here to continue to jump in and have the conversations with us and spread the good word and advocate. We really appreciate that. I know sometimes it's exhausting, especially for the people that maybe don't have all of their questions answered. So I feel you. I can't wait for this thing to be moving forward. We're really excited now that it's right in line of sight. For my conversations, I'm mostly focused on really the stuff that maybe isn't as much fun, resolving questions related to expansion to jurisdictions, resolving questions related to California, which we can get into. Um, and then the rest of my time has been focused on driving lower cost of capital. We're really excited to be seeing some rates improve just logistically on the process of loan funding, with our ambitions to be driving costs significantly down to have the best rates in the market. That's where a lot of my focus is at the moment. So maybe a quick update on the question I continue to get that I understand when it relates to the current irrevocable process where we're at. And if you're in California or another state that has a question, we still believe that we have a good solid plan to address these that we're working through to get clarity, and then we also have a backup plan and then a backup plan to that. We're working on everything from directly announcing that we can be fully reinstated in California to variations of that with backup plans for partnerships with underwriting banks, and all things considered, we believe we've got the best interest in heart with making sure nobody receives an offset or a net out, and that everybody will be taken care of. Of course, because we don't have this start date yet for when we'll officially start refinancing, we still don't quite know the timeline. And I appreciate everybody being patient. I know it's hard when you just want the answer now, but we've still got some time, and we're feeling very positive about it. We can take that in any direction, but Hunter, I'll kick it back to you for a minute.
No, I think that's very helpful. And just to reiterate what Shawn has said is that so we're encouraging everybody to be completing the data sharing agreement, your loan agreements, and your irrevocable agreement, regardless of your jurisdiction, in that we are prepared to be able to move forward and refinance the loans. And as Shawn said, have multiple options to be able to ensure that you are able to refinance your loan and avoid set off. So happy to tackle any more questions on that. While we wait for additional questions, Tony, thank you for joining. Would love to get your perspective on just the latest announcements from the borrowers group, if you're open to share.
Yeah. Hey guys, thanks for having me. Thanks for being in this process with us. It hasn't been smooth at all, but it looks like it's finally happening. So sometime last night they sent out it's like a data sharing, I don't know, form, notice, whatever you want to call it. So basically in this form, you're going to pick out which lender you want to share your information with, right? So if you know who you're going to pick, just pick one, right? If you're on the fence, just understand that it might cause delays with your loan refinance. We're at gunpoint right now. Bitcoin is doing what it usually does, which is basically the opposite of what everyone expects. Usually, before the halving, everything starts to tank. Obviously, Bitcoin found out that we learned this and now is doing the opposite. the way the process was supposed to work, they were going to do everything in batches, right? So the first batch was going to be the data sharing notice or election, whatever they call it. The second batch was going to be the irrevocable direction letter. And then the third batch would be the actual closing of your refinance. We got them to agree to break it up a little bit. So if you send in the data sharing notice, let's say you want to go with Salt, right? I'm going to fill out my form. I'm going to click Salt. Then I can get the irrevocable direction letter from Salt, submit it to Stretto, and then that will speed up my process. So instead of what they originally planned was first letter takes a week or so, second letter takes a week or so, refinancing takes God knows how long from these guys. You can speed everything up to combine it into one. So the faster you send in your data sharing election, the faster you can get the irrevocable direction letter from Salt, the faster you can send it into Stretto, the faster you can refinance this loan. The first one, the one that was sent out last night, all that is just you're giving Celsius permission to share your KYC info and your loan info with the lender of choice. And then the second letter, the irrevocable direction letter, is basically you're giving, I guess, technically Salt permission to receive your collateral back. So instead of it going to somebody else, it's going to go to them so that it can sit as your collateral for your new loan. That's basically what it is. It's a bunch of legal terms. Doesn't really matter what they are. That's what they mean. So the faster you get this thing done, the faster you can refinance your loan. Now, history would tell me that Bitcoin's due for a correction, but this should have been the correction, and it's only going up. I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm a Bitcoin maxi. I can't turn on a negative view. I'm not wired that way. I feel like it's never going to stop going up. I get anxious every morning. I look at it, the price is higher. Middle of the afternoon, I look at it again, it went even higher, and then by the end of the day, it's higher again. It makes me so nervous. I'm just trying to get this thing over with as quickly as possible.
I also want to give a shout out for Tony for always being clear and articulate and laying it out. That was well said and awesome. You've continued to drive great information out to everybody. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, I'd echo that. And Tony, also just in terms of the advocacy that you've been doing on behalf of the borrowers in general for pushing for clarity and simplicity in the explanations, it's been wonderful. And one thing to quickly build on what Tony has said, Salt will be sending out an email with a link to be able to complete the irrevocable direction agreement. Again, the legal terms that they're using. But as Tony said, it really will provide Celsius the authority to transfer the collateral to Salt for the loan. And we will be asking, it will be just a link that you can go into and complete with your individual information. We have 3 pieces of information that will be requested in that. One will be your name. One will be your email account that's associated with your Salt loan application. And then the third piece of information will be your email address, if it is different, that's associated with your Celsius loan, so we can make sure we're verifying correctly with Celsius.
So what's the price got to dump to for everybody to be happy now, and when? What's the optimal time for the strategic sell dump?
Yeah, my price target is 10,000.
That would be quite the roller coaster.
But yeah, so if
stranger things have happened though in Bitcoin. We've seen crazier drops. I don't see that one coming, but I never know.
No, you know what? Actually, I should start saying it's going to go to 100. That way the opposite can happen.
True. Very true.
But yeah, even a correction, usually it's 20%. So that still puts us at 40, I don't know, 3 maybe, 42.
One can hope.
One of the other things just to mention to see if this sparks any additional questions, given that the earn accounts are being settled ahead of the borrow, and we had advocated, and I know Tony and the borrowers group had advocated for a different ordering as well. which was for one reason or another, they decided to sequence them the way they have. But if you are receiving earned payouts and do want to apply those to your collateral as part of the loan to get a lower LTV, please be sure you set up the accounts within the, as Dan had indicated earlier, within your sort of SALT account to be able to transfer that and move that ahead of the finalization of your loan agreement. This will allow us to have the most accurate LTV calculation for you and be able to provide the best rate possible that we can. Dan, is there anything that you want to add to that just from a clarification?
Nope, I'm good. If Bitcoin's going to go to 10K, I got to reach out to a bunch of borrowers and get them on the alert.
Somebody let us know.
We're going to tell them Tony said so.
Don't worry, if Bitcoin gets to 10K, I will personally support the price action going back up.
Excellent. We're here to answer any questions that anybody has. Please come up if you have any additional questions.
But I gotta jump. But I just wanted to jump in here just to tell everybody: the faster you get this thing done, the faster Salt can expedite the process. The first two steps, we are in control of it now. The last step, which is obviously the most important step, is the actual closing date for the refinance. That is still entirely in Celsius's hands. So if the way the earn distributions have been rolled out, you have to imagine it's not going to be smooth, it's not going to be fast, it's not going to be pretty. So we want to get the first two stages done as quickly as possible, and then just hurry up and wait for the final stage.
Excellent. Tony, thank you for taking time out of your day and sharing it with us in the group, as well as your expertise on this and experience on this whole process.
All right. Thank you, guys. We'll be in touch.
Very good. Cheers, man.
Thank you, Tony.
All right. I guess we will make one last call for questions or comments from the SALT team. Otherwise, I know there's some other spaces going on. In particular, I know Simon has a space going on now trying to cover off other angles of the whole process, and we can give back time and opportunity to go join some of those.
I have just one last hand-holding opportunity that I need. I just submitted just now while Tony was speaking the sharing, authorize the debtors to share information. I just submitted that, downloaded the copy, and just a word to everybody. I had to amend it because there's a box that besides SALT, there's a second box you have to check that's a little bit sneaky ahead of that you authorize before you name them. So there's actually two things you have to fill. But now I just wait. It's submitted correctly. I downloaded the copy. It looks right. I just wait, and then I'll get something from SALT in the future. Is that correct?
That is correct, AK. We will send out an email. We are working on getting it out today that will have a link that will allow you to then complete the irrevocable direction agreement. And then once that is fully executed, we will share a copy with Celsius. You will need to share a copy with Stretto. And then at that point, we can, as soon as your loan agreements are all signed, then we're in a waiting pattern for Celsius to be ready to receive the final payouts and then also process the collateral.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That was helpful, and hopefully everybody, that's good information to have a heads up on ahead of completing the data sharing agreement. All right, we'll do one last call for questions. Shawn, anything you want to wrap up with before or after one last question?
No, I guess just in closing, something that just keeps being brought to my attention here and there is that we've recently launched the ability for people to talk to us about being a lender, so being on the lending earn side of things through our lend program, but we haven't really been able to push that out and or talk to everybody. So apologize if you're in that line waiting. and you've gone through the process already. If not, feel free to check us out. We're continuing to work on marketing and getting the word out and building out some more analytics and ways in which we can show how that works. There's a full product launch coming soon. So we're excited about that. But that's probably a longer topic. Just wanted to at least drop it there since that one's been showing up on my radar quite a bit in the last couple of days with some questions. And feel free to reach out to us in any one of the channels and we'll direct you towards the right page if you want to learn more.
Yeah, no, Shawn, that's a great call out. And if people want more information, please go to saltlending.com/lend. And it has an overview of our lend program, the sort of rates that we're providing, as well as the steps that you need to go through. And once there's a form to complete, and once you've completed that form, a member of the team can reach out and have an additional conversation with you. I think we have a question. Oops. Michael, do you want to ask your question, please? Oh, I might have. Kelley, do we have a question?
Yeah, Michael should be there now. He's off mute now.
Okay, perfect. Can you guys hear me?
We can.
Okay, awesome. All right, so my question might be a dumb question, but I have two
No
loans.
dumb questions.
I have two loans that are in Bitcoin. So when the collateral is returned, basically transferred to you guys, it's going to be in Bitcoin too as well, right?
That is correct. If you've elected to receive them back in Bitcoin, then it will be both the principal and the collateral associated with the excess will come back to Salt as Bitcoin.
Okay, because the only question I had with that, the reason why I was asking is because on the election form that I selected to refinance, I accidentally clicked on the Ethereum for if I elected to pay the loan off myself. So that was a by mistake. But I just wanted to make sure once the loan transfer over to Salt that it's going to be in Bitcoin.
That is actually a good question, Michael. I think if you had accidentally elected something else, we will potentially have to work with Celsius to clarify that. We will be sharing, we'll share information with us. And if there is a mismatch, then we can flag it and see what we can do with Celsius. But it sounds like we will just need to make sure the team is alerted for your loan application. And then if there is a difference, work through that with Celsius.
Okay. And I did go onto their website and submit like basically a question in regards to that. They did respond to me and said, hey, we're coming out with more further information regarding this. And
Okay.
reading through the document they sent yesterday, it seems like it does specify whatever your loan was collateral wise, that's what you're going to receive. If it was any other type of coins, they're going to give you Ethereum. I just didn't know. I just didn't want to make it confusing by me clicking on the wrong block, but I did tell them I did that by accident.
Okay, that's great. If you can, we'll make note of it. But if you want to send a note into just loan support with putting your loan application and let them know, then we'll make sure we have that on record and can do our best to flag that and make sure if there is an issue, we can help resolve it.
Okay. Yeah. And I've been in communication with, I think it's Nathan Vandeven.
Yep.
So I'll send that information over, but I really appreciate the help and thank you for your time.
No, Michael, happy to. Thank you for choosing Salt and thank you for your question today.
Absolutely. You guys have a good one.
You too. Sir Daniel, we would love to have you ask your question.
Hello, thank you. Can you hear me?
We can.
Thank you. So I got here late. Did you go over the difference between salt and figure? Because I'm trying to decide which one to use, and I just don't know which one to use, frankly. Is this being recorded?
What's that?
Did you record this session?
It is recorded, but we'd be happy to go over the offer and talk you through what the Salt refinance offer is, and then answer any questions in terms of the differences. There are some core differences in terms of the offers, and happy to help you make the best decision for your situation.
Cool.
Justin or Dan, do you want to jump in on the offer and the details regarding the loans that are available?
Sure, I'm happy to jump in. We're offering a couple different options. You can definitely go to our website, saltlending.com/Celsius Refinance Solution to get a recap of all of these. high level, we're offering one term of 12 months, 2 LTVs with different pricing, a 50% LTV and a 70% LTV. You can email sales@saltlending.com to get a copy of our calculator to determine which LTV you might qualify for. If the amount of collateral coming out of Celsius is above a 50%, but you'd prefer to be at a 50% LTV, you can obviously contribute additional collateral to reduce the LTV to get the lower APR. That's definitely an option that you can do ahead of time. Highly recommend it if that's something that's of interest to you. There's a 1% administration fee. It's pretty standard across all 3 options. If you look at Figure's pricing, the interest rate is about 0.5% to a full percent higher than ours. We offer 3 different payment options. First of all, you can pay monthly with principal and interest. You can pay monthly with interest only. We also have an option that is a no payment option where we basically accrue all the costs and fees associated with the loan into the principal loan amount. And then you're not obligated to pay anything until the maturity date. Obviously, margin calls and early payoffs excluded. So we don't have a prepayment penalty if you'd like to pay off at any time. There's a button inside the portal that allows you to do that. We also offer one difference between us and Figure and Ledin is we offer a reverse margin call at any LTV that's below your OLTV. So let's say you apply for a 70% LTV and your LTV goes down to 65%. You can withdraw that at 5% LTV you can transfer it to your custody account, or you can withdraw it to a hosted wallet or a privately hosted wallet. If you look at the other borrowers, they're originating at a 50 or 70% LTV, but they won't let you reverse margin call until a 30% LTV, and then you can only withdraw back up to a 40% LTV. So a little bit more restriction there, but obviously there's advantages and disadvantages to both that you have to talk through. And then with ours, you can refinance at any time to take advantage of the appreciation of the price of Bitcoin. And I think that kind of is a high level overview of the offer. I'd also look at Figure's new in the space. They're still building out their platform. The Salt's platform's been around for the last 7 years now. It's battle tested, and we have a mobile app as well as a website to monitor your loan. So just something to consider when you think about the ability for you to service your loan and respond to margin calls and pay off your loan.
Yeah, so Daniel, I would just say, because I know we are coming to a closing point on this one, there's definitely only one right answer. So reach out to us and we'll work you through it, make sure that you make the right decision. And I'm happy to make time if needed after this for sure to get all the details to you so you can make an informed decision. Feel free to fire some other questions here. I just know that we might run out of time to get to all of them. So please don't hesitate to reach out. We'll make sure we fully inform you of the best option.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for your question. And just one other thing to add to Dan's overview that he provided, and a key differentiator for Salt in general is just our ability with our stabilization technologies. If the loan, sort of the value of your collateral were to drop, Salt does stabilize the crypto and protects it in terms of conversion to stablecoin, allowing you to then make a decision when to get back into, but most importantly, preserving the value of your collateral in the sort of instance of market volatility. So the team and the company has worked hard over the years to develop that to help provide protection for borrowers so that you can be able to maintain the value of your assets and then go back into the crypto of your choice when you want to, following that type of event. All right, Kelley, do we have any other questions?
No, we do not.
Excellent. We will call that a wrap. As Shawn said, we are coming to the end of the Celsius refinancing. If anybody does have any questions or wants additional help, please reach out to sales@saltlending.com. We will be more than happy to ensure you get to an answer that is right for you and your situation. Greatly appreciate your time today. And until next week, we'll be back at the same day, same time. Stay long, stay liquid, and stay salty. Thank you, everybody.